Bookworm of the fandoms just got here. Have you seen that Jordan Peterson was suspended from Twitter? Yeah, I did see that. And I see that the guy is now spiraling downward harder than I have ever seen. You know, his original position, the thing that originally got him famous, had a veneer of credibility. It wasn't credible. There was nothing to back it up. He had no reason to do that in the first place. It was Canadian Bill C-16. He called it compelled speech. You're going to be forced to use people's pronouns. In reality, it was just adding trans to the list of protected classes. There was nothing controversial about it, but he made it controversial, and he got famous off of that. It was a position that, if it was actually how he described, moderates could have gotten on board. And because he was describing it that way, moderates did get on board, and he pulled them further to the right by coming out with all kinds of crazy, unhinged conspiracy stuff. Anyways, the point is, his original position started out with a veneer of reasonability. It seemed reasonable to the uninformed person. At this point, there's nothing reasonable. Like, the guy is completely unhinged now. He isn't even pretending to be reasonable anymore. I watched him melt down over his Twitter suspension on the Daily Wire or somewhere or other. Anyway, not even pretending to be in favor of freedom of speech anymore. Not even pretending to act like an actual psychologist. I was watching an interview with him recently where he was talking about how people's feelings are not a good measurement for anything. Like, he's saying, when you go to a doctor, you have cancer, the doctor puts you behind an x-ray machine and a CAT scan and takes all these pictures of your insides and can point to things and say, look, here it is right here, and if we do this, then it'll fix that problem. What are feelings? How do you measure feelings?
But aren't there some people that are obviously trans who were born in one body, they feel like they're in the other body, and when they're an adult, they can make the decision? And then even from just a freedom and liberty perspective, shouldn't they have that right? Even if they do it and then they regret it, shouldn't they have the right to try it?
It's a good question. This entire argument, in many ways, is stated so idiotically that it almost defies description. I mean, what do you mean, feel like you're in the wrong body? What kind of measurement is that? No, hang on a sec. There are rules for these sorts of diagnostic decisions. If someone comes to you and says, I feel like I have lung cancer, that is not sufficient grounds upon which to formulate a diagnosis, much less proceed to surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And so the question is, what do you mean by feel? What is that? Is that an emotion? Is it a motivation? Is it a philosophical conclusion? What is it?
What are feelings? How do you measure feelings? Are you kidding me? Jordan Peterson, PhD in psychology, doesn't know how to measure feelings? You've got to be joking. This guy, this is his entire field. That is what we do in psychology. Measure feelings. How do you think schizophrenia was discovered? How do you think bipolar disorder was discovered? You cannot sit here and tell me you don't understand the difference between psychology, understanding people's feelings, and cancer treatment or cancer detection. You have got to be kidding me. The guy has a PhD in psychology. He is a full-blown scam artist after I hear him say that. Full-blown scam artist. There is no part of me that believes that he is acting in any kind of good faith or honesty anymore. After hearing a PhD psychologist say, how can you measure someone's feelings? You can't do it like they have cancer.
If someone comes to you and says, I feel like I have lung cancer, that is not sufficient grounds upon which to formulate a diagnosis, much less proceed to surgery. What do you mean by feel? What is that? Is that an emotion? Is it a motivation? Is it a philosophical conclusion?
He's a grifter. He's a scam artist. I don't buy it for 1 second anymore. I have a 2-year degree in psychology, and I knew better. Ridiculous. Anyway, Jordan Peterson pisses me off. Don't get me started. All that jazz. Owen rants for 5 minutes. Also, Owen, don't get me started. I know, I've been started for a while now. Yeah, I appreciate the super chat.
Hi, Owen. My name is Lynn, and the date is 7/8/2022. I was just wondering if you had heard that Tyler Etheridge, who was a minister at Andrew Womack's church, got arrested yesterday for his participation in insurrection. Maybe you can cover it. All right. Have a great day. Bye.
Appreciate that. No, I did not hear about that. That's really, really interesting to me. So I did look into this. This is the story, apparently. So if you guys are unfamiliar with Andrew Womack, let me just introduce you to the guy real quick. Just want to pick out my favorite one. Let me just pick out my favorite video of the guy. Being trans is demonic. Prayed mildew away. Here it is. This is the one. Wants your money immediately. This is the video I was looking for. Watch this video. This is Andrew Womack. So this should give you an idea of who we're dealing with. As the caller said, a minister in this guy's church was arrested for being at the Capitol riot, apparently. That's actually a really big deal. Listen to what Andrew Womack has to say in this clip here.
I tell you, partnership in the gospel is the greatest thing you can do. When we get to heaven, I can guarantee you there's not a single one of you that's going to be saying, I wish you hadn't have encouraged me to give so much and that I'd have got my 5th flat screen TV and that I would have had more jewels and fancier clothes and a nicer car. All that stuff will be gone. It's only what you invest in the kingdom that is going to benefit you for eternity. You're going to come up to me and hug my neck and kiss me and say, thank you, thank you, thank you for getting that money out of my pocket.
Does it get lower than that? Does it get lower? The things he said about the trans community are pretty rough.
You know, this is something that's very politically incorrect and will be, a lot of people will find this to be upsetting, but I tell you, the things that are happening in our nation, it is a doctrine of the devil. It's not just people with a different opinion. It's not just some people have a different take on things. It is literally doctrines of the devil. They are taking children as young as 4 and 5 years old and telling them that you were born in the wrong body.
No, nobody is doing that. This is a fabricated problem that doesn't exist. He's trying to get people all wrapped up in this and upset and up in arms and work them into a blood frenzy to get them angry enough to do something about it. This is effectively stochastic terrorism.
And they are surgically altering them and giving them hormone blockers and stuff.
4 and 5 year olds? No, this is a fabricated issue.
I'm telling you, this is not just a different opinion, somebody that has a little different way of looking at things.
No, in this guy's mind, it is a doctrine of Satan. He believes that this is satanic worship or whatever.
It is a doctrine of demons.
It gets worse from there, but I can't play more. He's also famous for making the claim that he prayed mildew away. He had a whole bunch of mildew in like a closet or something in his house. And instead of taking a brush and trying to clean it or bleach or whatever, he opened Deuteronomy and read scripture to it, and it went away. It disappeared. I didn't even play the worst of it, honestly. He says all kinds of bizarre, messed up stuff. But apparently one of the ministers in his church was charged in the January 6th riot. Let's read the article. Federal prosecutors have charged a Colorado Springs man in connection with the deadly January 6th riot at the U.S. Capitol. Prosecutors in the District of Columbia charged Tyler Etheridge, 33, civil disorder, a felony, and related misdemeanor offenses. He was arrested Friday in Denver and made an initial appearance in the District of Colorado, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office. Etheridge, a 2017 graduate of the Practical Government School at Andrew Womack's Charis Bible College in Woodland Park, is accused of removing fencing on the Capitol's northwest approach and encouraging the crowd to keep fighting after he climbed a median, prosecutors said. Prosecutors allege Etheridge entered the building at 2:35 p.m. and went to the rotunda where he filmed several videos that he posted on social media, according to court documents. In one of the videos, Etheridge said, I don't want to say what we're doing is right, but if the election is being stolen, what is it going to take? In Parler video, this Capitol terrorist declared, I'm probably going to lose my job as a pastor after this. Hashtag Pastor Parler. I'm probably going to lose my job as a pastor after this. I think we're to a point where talk is cheap. If this makes me lose my reputation, I don't care. Honestly, Andrew Womack is the type of person that would support this action. Andrew Womack is extremely political and has said that he supports Trump and he believes that Trump won the election, all that other crazy stuff. Attempts to reach the congregation for comment were unsuccessful on Friday. On January 6th, Etheridge was a pastor at Christ Center Church of Tampa in Dover, Florida. The congregation announced on January 19th that he was no longer with the parish. So that's the story. That's the situation. Glad that he's getting what he deserves, which is federal charges. You can't take part in an insurrection and expect to not face charges for it.
Hey, Owen. This is David from Georgia. Just wasn't sure if you had heard or not. The Georgia guidestones were actually damaged by an explosive device just the other day and then had to be demolished. It's just really weird that all of a sudden, all the attention coming to them here in Georgia, and then all this happens. So just wanted to let you know in case you didn't know. Thanks for all that you do. I really enjoy the content you're putting out. Just keep it up.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I did hear about that. That is absolutely nutty stuff, man. Yeah, I have the footage right here. It blowing up July 6, 2022, 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. Absolutely crazy, man. He's obviously a conspiracy theorist of some sort. This is drone footage of the aftermath of it. I guess they even had to pull it down afterwards. Like, they decided to just fully demolish it for safety reasons, apparently. This is the next day, July 7th. Apparently the local business owner said that they intend to try to rebuild if they can, possibly. We'll see what happens with it. I really hope conspiracy theorists don't win this one. I mean, I didn't like what they said. They seemed kind of weird to me. The inscriptions didn't make any sense. They weren't useful, a lot of them, and the rest were just obvious. So I'm not, like, emotionally invested in having this thing as a monument. I don't really care either way. What I care about is not allowing domestic terrorists to win.
Hey there, this is Jay from Arkansas. I'm calling because I recently began a world civilization class at a public university here, and something included in the syllabus was that it's a Christian environment and we must respect Christ. It being a public university, that's not allowed, is it? Love what you do with your channel. Thanks. Bye.
Interesting question. Basically, if it's a public university, are they allowed to enforce Christianity? Like, mandate that you are a Christian or whatever else, or you pray with them or whatever? I'm not really sure. I know a little bit about this, and what I do know is if they receive public funding from the government, I believe they're required to keep things secular and respect all views equally, Islam and Christianity and everything else. If it's a private university, which there are a lot of out there, a surprising number of them don't take public funding, it's perfectly okay for them to do that, whatever they want. So you would have to find out if they actually receive public funding from the government or not. Corinthian College, DeVry University, there are a bunch out there that were privately funded. They're private schools technically, but they are colleges that are open to the public. So they're privately owned. They don't take public money. And as a result, they're allowed to do that stuff. So you just have to look into their funding source and find out. It depends, largely. Not a lawyer. I only know a little bit about it, but hopefully that little bit helps. Next one's an email. Persecution is the title. Hey, Owen, my name is Emma. I have been watching your show for about 2 months now, and I'm so glad I found you. I cannot begin to describe how it feels to actually know there are people out there who aren't religious and not spiritual. You know, chakras and shiny crystals with healing magic. And I don't have anything against those kinds of ideals. I just have a problem with the way they are carried out. Example, I have a friend who's a traditional Christian and he likes guys. He's very sweet and cares about the valley we live in and wants to make it a more suitable place to live in. It's a bad valley split by a river, so there are 2 towns in 2 states. It's bad because of the people. Anyways, we both talk about religion and politics a good bit. Here's my thing. We can agree to respect each other's moral and spiritual beliefs, even though they're different. My friend believes in God. I'm a person of science through and through. So why is it that we can get along and even talk about religion without it leading to some spiteful conflict, even though we have different beliefs? Answer: human decency, something not everyone has. That goes for both sides. I have a lot more I want to ask and talk with you about, but I understand how busy you are, so I hope I didn't ramble too long. Have a great day. I appreciate that. Yeah, here's the thing. I don't have a problem with Christians. I have a problem with extremism, and that goes for both sides. I don't stand for people talking about blowing things up. I don't stand for people talking about violence as an answer to any problems or any of that stuff. I don't accept it when Kenneth Copeland fleeces gullible suckers for money. I wouldn't accept it if somebody on my side fleeced gullible suckers for money in a petty, underhanded, dirty way. It's a moral principle that I stand on. It just so happens that Kenneth Copeland and Andrew Womack and all of these other far-right nutcase Christian pastors are the ones that are doing it the most, more than anybody else. It just so happens that Trump's followers tend to be disturbingly extreme, far more extreme than Biden's followers. Like, Biden doesn't have a cult movement behind him. Trump does. If Biden had a cult movement behind him, I'd criticize them too. We can agree to respect each other's moral and spiritual beliefs, even though they're very different. My friend believes in God. I'm a person of science through and through. The people I criticize don't have respect for other people's ideas. That's why I criticize them in the first place. So, absolutely interesting point. I appreciate you mentioning it, and thank you for the email. Next email is titled, I'm worried. Hey, Owen, I'm, as the subject reads, worried. New Work Post wrote an article that someone opened the truth about fact checkers being nothing but leftist opinions, and I'm hoping you can put my mind at ease. Thanks. P.S. Sorry, I'm a bad typer. Don't sweat it. Sorry, what I meant to say is New York Post has a written story about a Facebook CEO saying that he revealed the truth that fact checkers are just leftist opinions. I was hoping you'd have some comforting words of wisdom to reply to me or on your podcast. Thanks. Stefan from Boise, Idaho. I appreciate the email, Stefan. Yeah, I hadn't heard about that. I wouldn't worry about the New York Post too much. They're notoriously pretty far right. Absolutely awful, honestly. And as far as fact checkers just being leftist opinions, great. Prove it. Prove it. Fact check the fact checkers if that's true. Show me evidence that the fact checkers, or any of the facts that the fact checkers checked, if you will, were not facts or were facts or whatever else. Show me proof of what you're saying. Until then, I simply don't believe you. I mean, it's very possible that, there are some corrupt fact checkers or whatever else. Fine. Show me. No one has any reason to believe you until you show us evidence of it. I am so sick of living in a society that doesn't accept or that doesn't respect evidence, has no respect for evidence whatsoever. They don't give a It's just whatever I feel is true, and that's all there is to it. Like, facts and evidence mean absolutely nothing to some of the people in society right now. It absolutely blows my mind. I wouldn't worry. It's just another link in the culture war. Don't sweat it.